John Delaney spoke to CNN to announce his dropping out of the presidential race. I know all of you were distraught. We got a lot of Delaney supporters in the audience here. The thing I love most about this is I get the sense, I don't know why, but I get the sense that like he had to beg them to let him on air to announce this. Because the host is like, okay, you bugged us to come on air. What do you have to say? So I get that strong sense that it's like he was like, I have to make a big announcement. And people at CNN are like, nothing you have ever said ever is a big announcement. So what? What do you want? What do you want, bro? So anyway, here's jacked John Delaney. He is jacked, by the way. He works out like a fiend, and his body does not match his face at all. But here he is explaining why he's dropping out and saying a bunch of things that are silly.
Former Maryland Congressman John Delaney joins me now live from Des Moines. Congressman Delaney, thank you for being with us this morning. What is your news?
Good morning, John. Well, I'm announcing this morning that I am withdrawing from the 2020 race. And this campaign has never been about me. It's been about big ideas to move the country forward, ideas that can get done, bringing this country together, and most importantly, beating Donald Trump. And I've campaigned harder than anyone in Iowa. I've been to all 99 counties. I've done hundreds of events across this great state. But it's clear to me on Monday, on caucus night, I will not have sufficient support to get to the 15% viability threshold that, as you know, John, is needed to get delegates out of Iowa. But my support is sufficient enough to take from other more moderate candidates. And I just don't want to do that because I think we need a candidate who's running in the center, who can bring this country together to solve problems, to accomplish the objectives that we need to do, which is to beat Trump and govern in the future. So that's my news today.
Other more moderate candidates, you don't want to take support away from them. So what will you tell your supporters? Who will you suggest that your supporters caucus for then on Monday?
Well, I think it's pretty clear to me that my support, which is particularly strong in rural Iowa, where I've spent a lot of time, they're looking for problem solvers. They're looking for someone who's got realistic solutions, pragmatic solutions to the big issues of our time. And so there's several candidates running in Iowa that meet that criteria.
Who?
And so I'm not endorsing anyone. I'm not directing any of my supporters to go to any particular
Which candidates are they, just so there's no ambiguity here? Which candidates fit that bill?
Well, there's a few top of mind that obviously meet that criteria. I think Vice President Biden does. I think Senator Klobuchar does. I think Mayor Buttigieg does. I think there are several. And again, I'm not endorsing anyone, but it's clear to me to have the best chance of beating Donald Trump, which is the most important thing for our party at this moment in time, and to actually be able to govern and kind of stop the noise and bring this country together and put forth big ideas, but pragmatic ideas, we need someone with that type of orientation. And I think it's incredibly important. And so for me, I think at this moment in time, this is not the purpose God has for me. And so what I want to do is what's right for my party, what's good for the country, and continue to advocate for the ideas that have been so important to my campaign and in many ways so unique. And to some extent, a lot of things that candidates are talking about now are things that I started talking about very early in this campaign.
Come on, dude. Come on. I submit to you guys, does he believe what he's saying there, or is he just trying to puff up his own ego, which is obviously very bruised? He said, his ideas shaped the race. Your ideas shaped Dickie McGeezax. That's what they shaped. Please. There's a lot there. So, first of all, even to the fact that he says, I have big ideas. Really? Name them. What are your big ideas? You don't have big ideas. I love the sense of self-aggrandizement when he says, hey, listen, my support will take away from other moderate candidates. Your support wouldn't take away from anybody because your support is non-existent. I'm sorry, man. I know that's harsh, but who is he kidding? Bro, who are you kidding? I'm pretty sure he was at 0% in the polls. 0. Now, that's nationally, so maybe in Iowa, I don't know, maybe at 1%? I don't know. But who are you kidding? Like, as if you were any influence on this race whatsoever. And the funny thing is, he hopped into the race before anybody did. I believe he announced he's running for president in 2017. And he's been campaigning this whole time. And he's got nothing to show for it. What does that say? What does that say? Either you're particularly annoying as a person, or your ideology is just not popular. Or both. It could very well be both. And then he keeps describing his set of beliefs as realistic, pragmatic, and problem solving. And he wants to support other realistic, pragmatic problem solvers in the debate, or in the race. And then he lays out, Biden, Mayor Pete, Amy Klobuchar, who's who of centrist, corporatist nothings. And, it's funny because as I hear him describe his beliefs and using the terms realistic, pragmatic, and problem solving, I think that actually is what Bernie is. Like, I know Bernie's critics say, oh my God, so far left, oh my God. But actually, no, he's the realistic one, he's the pragmatic one, and he's the problem-solving one, because all Bernie is doing is looking at the rest of the developed world and going, I think we could do some of what they do. That's not radical. That's not extreme. That's not so far left. That's basic social democratic reform. So really, he's the realistic, pragmatic problem solver. Hey, Canada's got a better healthcare system than us. Maybe we should do a system like Canada. I would call that realistic and pragmatic. I would call that problem solving. I mean, this stuff is... Come on, he's just adding on to the legacy of FDR. That's it. That's all he's doing. That's realistic. That's pragmatic. That's problem solving. And then finally, he goes on to say, the way to beat Trump is with centrism. And it drives me crazy because I know nobody's listening to him, but it's like, this idea is pervasive in mainstream media. It's pervasive among the establishment. And I'm sorry, but the data just doesn't back it up. If anything, it's the opposite. Bernie Sanders is the one who consistently beats Donald Trump in the polls, and by the widest margins. Centrism is not the way to go. But to be fair to him, it's not like we've run an experiment in the past where we could know for sure that centrism doesn't work against Trump. Oh, wait, we did do that. Hillary versus Trump in 2016, and Hillary lost. Yeah, she won the popular vote, but turns out popular vote doesn't determine the election. Electoral College does. And Bernie wins not only the popular vote, also the Electoral College, because his support is dispersed in the proper way around the country, whereas Hillary's was namely not in the Rust Belt where she needed to get that support. So, he's wrong on all counts here, and the self-aggrandizing is hilarious. I guess you need to lick your wounds when you've been that thoroughly obliterated. But jacked John Delaney has now officially dropped out. Although, funny enough, surfer bro Mike Bennett is, still running, bro. I don't know why he wants to, embarrass himself by getting, no support, bruh.